we keep on saying to him.
Oh, you might join us. Pull up and I'm famous. Party like I'm Vegas. Yeah, the alcohol made us. Now tell her and dance her. Tell her and dance her.
It's basically, this video here is basically my experiences and why I choose to podcast, right? So basically, about me, I'm a little poor kid from Petersburg, Virginia, right? Grew up in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, single parent. Basically, she was a DJ, Lady Fox. Y'all can look her up, Lady Fox. And basically, as any parent in the 80s and 70s, do what you had to do to raise your kids, right? So me, I got an older sister, and basically my older sister is like my best friend. She basically raised me. Before I could fight, she was holding down fights for me. But then after a while, I had to learn to fight because she was getting in fights and shit like that, you know what I mean? So we got a real good relationship. She 5 years older than me. She could still throw down too. But me, why I choose the podcast is basically everyone has a story to tell, but you gotta find truth in your story, right? So me, I lost a lot of friends to gun violence and stuff like that growing up. And basically, growing up in Richmond, it was either sports or drugs, right? That was your way out. So that's why I can relate to 2 Chainz. Go to the league, rap or go to the league. So, cause that's real truth in that. You know what I mean? So me, I couldn't rap. Well, not saying that I couldn't rap. I didn't feel like I was cause like back then everybody were freestyling and all this other type of stuff. But me, I'll hop in like freestyle stuff like this, fucking around, but I didn't see nothing in it. Like I played football. I tried to play all the sports to get out. But when it was time for me to graduate high school, I had ROTC in high school as an elective, and basically sports got me through high school and shit like that. But once I got to high school, I had that decision, go to college or work or something else. And my ROTC teacher, they were like, go to the military. It's the best thing you will ever do, and so on and so forth. So my homies and shit, they're like, nah, fuck the military. I can't do that shit. Had no motherfuckers telling me what to do and shit. I'm a real nigga. Y'all know the rest of the shit, right? So I'm a real nigga this, I'm a real nigga that. So basically, once I you all know I go, right? So once I go and come back home from like your AIT, you get your time before you go to basic training. I mean, your first duty station, and you get to come home and basically see what everybody's doing, and basically everybody's still like doing the same shit. So anyway, I'm not gonna tell y'all that shit yet. So basically, damn, about the camera shit. So basically, it's time for me to make a decision, like where I'm gonna go to school. So I had a few scholarships to like Christopher Newport in Virginia, Radford University, Hampton University, a couple other D3 schools and shit like that. But it was for shot put and discus, because one of my football coaches, he was like, in the off season you need to stay in shape. So he was the shot put and discus coach. So he was like, with your speed and and all this other type of stuff, that stuff is the same thing you need in shot put and discus. Due to the small circle, you got to generate speed to create force and momentum to launch the projectile, right? So I started fucking around with shot put and discus, and then I actually like got good at it. So then like I started going to states for indoor and outdoor, and basically I started getting like small letters and stuff like this. Nothing big, but just enough that they will pay for some, and my parents would have to cover the other half. But the time that I was growing up in, my mom didn't have that. And by the time my little sister was here, so now it's three of us, and none of us working, but she busting her ass and shit. So I was like, and everybody was getting the quick money and getting peeled off in the streets, and I was like, it's only two options. Like, I need money to help moms, but at the same time, I need money for myself. And at that time, me going to college, I couldn't go to college. I could have went to college, but I didn't want to go to college because there was no money in it. I wasn't going to get paid for be doing all this shit, and I didn't see 4 years. I didn't foresee me going to college for 4 years without making a dime. I was going to come out and be okay in the 5th year. Like, I couldn't put that together, so I didn't go to college. So I decided to go to the military. So by me going to the military, in my eyes, they'll put paycheck in my pocket, roof over my head, and they'll send me all over the world. At the worst case scenario, yeah, I could die, but at the same time, you got your SGLI, which pays out $500,000, and in some circumstances more to your family. So it's like, yeah, I can stay on the streets and gangbang and all this other type of stuff, but if I die, my parents or my mom, she ain't gonna get anything for my death for doing something silly in the streets. You know what I mean? So like, if I'm gonna die being home in Richmond, I can die being in the military. So death, you can't get around. So I was like, fuck, I'm gonna go to the military. I'm gonna get this money, and then if something happened to me, they gonna get the check. So basically, I decided to go. My first duty station is, excuse me, let me skip back. My basic training is Fort Knox, Kentucky, and then my AIT is Aberdeen Proving Grounds. And how about this? I'll give y'all a crazy story, right? And I'm gonna put this in the timestamp for y'all, right? So I had a drill sergeant named Drill Sergeant Gonzalez, Mexican cat. 2000, he was like drill sergeant of the year 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. Basically, he was drill sergeant of the year, and some of y'all may know him, right? And y'all already know this if y'all know him. But anyway, he was drill sergeant of the year, all this other type of shit, and basically, him and another drill sergeant got caught in a prostitution ring at Aberdeen Proving Grounds, right? And he was in uniform, and that's the crazy thing that I learned about the military. Like, the military is just as crooked as any other organization or company out there, right? Reason why I say that is because the same thing that happens at any other Fortune 500 company or anything else that happens at a McDonald's or Walmart, behind the scenes, all the stuff y'all hear, just happening to Terry Crews and all this other type of stuff, that stuff happens in the Army. The only reason why the civilian public, yeah, I'm snitching, the only reason why the civilian public don't hear about it is because it's the military. It's not for civilian eyes or ears. But if you have one of these, right? If you have one of those, then basically you are allowed to a lot of information that some people aren't, that can like normally get, right? Especially if you got a secret or top secret clearance or any other type of shit. Yeah, so in uniform, clean cut dry motherfucker, but out of uniform, yeah, crooked. I remember being in BNOC at Fort Knox, and I remember us getting out of class, and the drill sergeants, they'll go, because once you go to BNOC and all that shit back in the day, basically once you got out of class, you can do whatever the fuck you want to. You can go to class 6, get your beers, come back, and don't nobody fuck with you. But that was back in the day. Now, I mean, nowadays they more strict and all that other type of shit. So I even seen fucking the cadre, after we get let out of class, they go to the gym or whatever and change, and then the girls in our class, they go change or whatever, and we all go eat, and then we just chilling outside the barracks at school now, and then those cadre will be in civilian uniforms, pull up in their cars, and then the girls will jump in their car like go off. If you one of those cadre, shame on you. And I can say that because I was never cadre. But no, I mean, get it how you live. But shit like that, like it happens. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's all kinds of crazy stuff that happen in the military. You know what I mean? And I'm not gonna give those secrets because if you want to know, yo punk ass needs to join. You know what I mean? I served my time, got my retirement, so that's why I choose the podcast. So since we're gonna continue this on, so my first duty station was Germany. I was in K-Town at ROB. Shout out to all my folks out there at Ryan Ordnance Barracks. I was there 2 years, and then from there I went to I got stationed in Virginia. Then I was there for 3 years. Got sent to Iraq. And I ain't giving y'all no years because y'all don't need. Well, 07 I was in Iraq. I got sent to Iraq 07. 07, I was at Talil Air Force Base in a small outpost, Camp Delta, and then I was at another outpost. And I'll tell you a story about there. I got lost in Iraq. How the fuck you get lost in Iraq? Alright, so I got lost in Iraq due to the fact, so I had to go on this mission. I had to go on this mission and meet up with, I got attached to a special forces group, right? So when you overseas and you're like on deployments, when you go, and no, this ain't no OPSEC shit, ain't giving out no crazy shit like that. When you go from like base to base, it's not like in the civilian world where you get an itinerary and it's a time and so on and so forth, right? So basically everything is done through a certain way of communication, right? And basically you just go to wherever you have to go and you board your plane or your helicopter and you just fly to whatever base, right? So what ended up happening is that there are a lot of flights, or there are flights that go around, you know, from base to base, like with helicopters and you know, you got the TAC choppers for support and all that type of stuff. So at times there'll be multiple stops, you know what I mean? So instead of them going from say for instance from Langley Air Force Base to Fort Dix, and that's one stop, they'll have like 5 stops in one trip. So they'll do something like a round robin. So they'll go like from Fort Eustis to Fort Lee to Fort Dix to Fort Campbell to Fort Hood to Langley Air Force Base to whatever, Fort Polk, Fort Bragg, and then back to Fort Eustis. You know what I mean? So when they do these flights going around like that, once you get your time to get to the place, once you get on the helicopter, they don't say, hey, these are our stops. They don't tell you where you're at until you get there. You know what I mean? So that's how I got lost. So basically, I had to meet up with the Special Forces group, and basically I had to go to this base, right? So the base that I was going to doesn't have a name. It has a name, but it doesn't have a name because it doesn't exist, right? So I knew the name. You got to understand, I'm a specialist and I only been in like 4 years at this time, right? And this is my first deployment, right? And I'm getting attached to a special forces group as a specialist, and basically I know my orders and where I have to go and so on and so forth, but this is like the first time me doing this. So it's kind of like the first time did you ever rode a plane? And long behold, the first time I ever was on a plane was when I was 17 years old, and I was on the plane ride from Mepps, Virginia to Fort Knox, Kentucky for my basic training. You know what I mean? So that was the first time I was on a plane ever. So let alone, and now I'm in Iraq, got to meet up with the special forces group, and now I got to get on another plane, and this is more serious and so on and so forth because of deployment. And now in life, I'm 18, 19 at this time, but this is only like my 4th plane ride, including the one to get to fucking Iraq, right? Or 5th plane ride. So basically, I get to this base, and it's kind of like if y'all seen the movie 13 Hours, where it was 2 bases that was overseas, and this is what everybody gets on Hillary about as far as getting all those soldiers killed in Benghazi. And basically, you know that one base was known, but the other base was there, but it wasn't supposed to be there. So in my situation, I was going to a base that wasn't supposed to be there to meet up with the special forces group. So when they called the base off, the name sounds just like the other base I was going to. So I get off the fucking plane, right? So when I get off the plane, I got my kit and all this other type of stuff on, and I get off the plane, and then I'm on the airstrip, and the plane takes off like that. So now I'm on this base, and I'm looking for this special forces group that isn't located on this base, because now I'm on another base that isn't supposed to be there. So now I go around and I'm trying to find somebody in charge, but the one thing about you being on those bases is that you aren't supposed to be on that base unless you're supposed to be on that base. So the reason why I say that is because no one has on no patches, no insignia, no name tags, no name tapes. Everybody same haircut, you know what I mean? Everything. Everybody looks the same, right? So I start talking to people, and they're doing the right thing. I'm like, yo, what base is this? And it was like, what are you talking about? Like, we're here. And I was like, man, like, I'm trying to get to this no-name base, and basically they're playing stupid because they don't know who I am, which is the right thing to do. So basically, I'm there for like, there's no reason for me to leave the airstrip where their special forces and all these other people are, is because I have no business on base, because I need to be at this other place, right? So basically a few hours go by, 3 or 4 hours go by, and basically I end up talking to, I still don't know who he was, you know what I mean, but he ended up telling me the time listing of the next flight coming in, and then basically I end up getting off a flight too early, right? So I end up making it to the base and so on and so forth, and then it ended up being a hangar to support the special forces group as far as direct threats, so they can get the Kiowas up. So basically I was the lead mechanic for a signal company that ran SIPR and NIPR comms for the special forces group, right? So basically that's how we were attached to the special forces group. So like the compound, all the food, everything. Basically it was like super catered as far as food and shit like that. And then I tell you a story about that. We had a pallet of water that was sitting outside and was bundled up in like saran wrap, and basically with like 120 130 degree heat, basically the bottles would start melting or disintegrating, and that would get in the water, and basically now you're drinking particles of plastic, and that's how you get sick and all that bullshit. So basically we had to move all the pallets under this awning that was part of the hangar, and basically it had beams to the side, and basically that was for when the doors opened up. So basically we end up pushing the waters under the awnings, and then all the pigeons end up shitting on all our cases of water. So now we're out there, we can't drink our water because now KBR says that the water is contaminated and all this other type of shit, because now it's bird feces and all that type of shit. So now we have a pigeon problem, and we are out of like fucking 12 cases of fucking water, which is like fucking a couple thousand bottles of water, right? So now we had to throw all that water away, and now we're on fucking water restriction because we don't have any, the birds just short all the water. So basically it was an order to kill all the pigeons on fucking base. So we ended up getting BB guns order, and we would go shoot the fucking pigeons out of the fucking awnings and trees and all this shit. And basically, we would just go to an open field and just throw them out for the foxes to come eat. Because like the bases that we took over were Saddam's old fucking air defense fucking bases. So like we used to sleep in his old airplane hangars and shit with barn doors. I'll post pictures of that shit. But yeah, anyway, so after Iraq, go back to Virginia, then hit up Korea. Shout out to all my people in Korea. I was at Camp Stanley in 6th Medical Battalion. Wow, saving lives. After Korea, I go to Carson. I'm there for 5 years. Do two deployments there to Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, I got a couple stories, but after that, I go to Texas, and then I retire. So now that I'm retired and I ain't got shit to do, I still have a hunger. There's still shit that people need to know. There's still shit that can be taught. Like, life isn't over. I'm only 35 years old, you know what I mean? So, 34 years old. So, even though I'm not a millionaire and all that other type of stuff, like I'm good off, you know what I mean? I'm not hurting, and I'm not definitely not doing this shit for money, because I already served my time. I did my 15 years, you know what I mean? So now I can sit back and chill, but I still see people still searching and want to do something, and basically everybody is shooting to the social media aspect to try to make it. 15 years, and I don't. And the reason why I podcast is because I'm still trying to teach. I'm still trying to educate. Even though I'm not a millionaire and I'm not on I have 1,000 followers and all this other shit. Like, I don't care about that. You know what I mean? Because the grind that I put in, y'all didn't see. But that's why I can sit back and podcast and talk shit all the time and try to give helpful information, is because the path that I took is success. You know what I mean? I'm from Petersburg, Virginia, with nothing. Joined the military, wasn't supposed to make it out, and end up getting a check from the motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So anybody can do it. You know what I mean? So there is knowledge that all veterans have, and that we're trying to give out and let people in to basically say, hey, anyone can do it. So if you are looking, I'm not saying go join the military. I'm not saying go join the military. I'm just saying the military worked for me. So it gave me a stepping stone. It gave me a stepping stone to do whatever I want to do now. So all the crazy shit and all the crazy nights and all the stuff that seemed crazy that the military asks you to do, if you just do it, it doesn't last forever. And then this is the other side. You know what I mean? So I have 5 kids. I get to spend all day talking to them, Skyping, taking them outside, just teaching and just trying to give them what I didn't have. You understand what I'm saying? So being retired at 34 is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? I just got to make sure I make all my appointments and all that shit. You know what I mean? Because the DA be trying to stick one for a nigga. Nah, but if you do your time, like, all that shit, like, pays off. You know what I mean? So, that basically that's why I podcast. I don't have nothing to do, and I don't care what anyone has to say, because I know what I've done for the military. I know I get a check, a retirement check, and basically I've earned it. So now I'm trying to tell other people how they can earn it. You know what I mean? How you don't have to go to college right out of high school and you're dumb or whatever. You just find another path. You know what I mean? I didn't think I was going to make it through college out of high school, so that's why I joined. You know what I mean? But hey, that's why I podcast. I hope this helps you podcast and tell your story. You know what I mean? All of us are writing a book. You know what I mean? You just gotta say fuck everyone else and basically just do your own thing. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna read the comments of this video, and people probably have some crazy shit to say or whatever. I mean, that don't bother me due to the fact of the position that I sit in. Like, that person won't change the podcast that I do. Now I'll probably blow them up and put them on, you know what I mean? But other than that, yeah, you know what I mean? I hope you podcast, and I hope this was positive. And follow, like, subscribe, Anchor FM.
We keep on saying to
Oh, you might join us. Pull up and I'm famous. Party like I'm